Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Ask Shaf Live. Now, if this is the first time you've tuned into this channel, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur, I'm a former Dragon on BBC Dragon's Den Online, and I'm a columnist for a national newspaper. So what I do in this series is I answer your business or property related questions. Anything to do with property, anything to do with business, anything to do with entrepreneurship, anything to do with technology, fire away, ask me your questions and I'll try and answer them for you. So let's jump straight into the first question. Michael Morley, thank you for the videos, Shaf. I've enjoyed watching these. I've done a lot of research on cloud kitchens. You're on a winner, in my opinion. 3 questions. What is the biggest challenge when it comes to setting up and operating a cloud kitchen? The first thing I should say is we haven't started operating the cloud kitchens yet because we started the fit out, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to stop. So we haven't actually started operating them yet. But the biggest challenge, I think, is this is something I've looked at for a period of time. The biggest challenge is finding premises that are effectively going to be suitable. Now, there's a number of factors you need to take into account. First thing is you need to ensure that you get consent, basically, to produce hot food there. Second thing is the premises need to be in an area which covers as many delivery zones as possible. I was quite lucky because I managed to pick up the phone to one of the directors of Deliveroo and get his opinion. And I've also got a good idea of what the other delivery zones are, because there's no point in having a cloud kitchen if by the time the food is delivered to where it needs to go to, the food's cold. So that's the 2 challenges that I've found so far. But what I will be doing is I'll be doing regular update videos on our development and the business. And you'll get to see all the behind the scenes stuff, us negotiating leases, the tenants working, how the tenants' businesses are getting on. And I think that should be a great series. So please subscribe to the channel and you'll get these updates as soon as the world goes back to normal after the pandemic. Question 2. Different types of catering businesses require different equipment. Is there a level of customization for new customers? Yes, there is. We've signed up a few customers at the moment. One of them has said, look, just give us the basic fit out. It's just essentially extraction and they're going to be putting all their equipment. Another one of the tenants we've signed up, they've given us a list of equipment. So yes, there is. Does the cloud kitchen's business model only work when you buy the underlying property, in your opinion? No, it doesn't. You've got to remember the property is owned by my property company. My property company is going to rent it to another company that I own. So effectively, the company that will be making the bulk of the profit is the operating company. It's the company that actually runs the kitchen's business. So the operating company will be paying a commercial rent to the property company, and then the operating company will basically fund the costs of the equipment, of the fit out, etc., and it will charge a much higher rent than what it's paying to the propco. Morgan Gray. Hi Shaf, are you only doing this during the lockdown, and what other YouTubers would you recommend people follow to increase their knowledge and understanding of business and property investing in the UK? Morgan, to be honest with you, I don't actually really follow many YouTubers in the UK. I've already mentioned in a previous video, I'll leave a link in the comments to the 2 sort of property channels that I follow. In terms of the UK, occasionally I'll watch a video if it comes up, if it's sort of suggested by YouTube, but there isn't any channels that I really sort of subscribe to when it comes to property, because the bulk of the property guys in the UK, they're all interested in just giving you a little bit of information and then putting you into a sales funnel where they can sell you a course. In terms of, are you only doing this during the lockdown? Well, during the lockdown, I'm producing a lot more content. I'm actually producing it myself. I've just sort of pointed the camera at my face and I'm recording it. I don't see this going forward, but after the lockdown, I will still have a YouTube channel, but I think the type of content that we do may change. So there'll be a lot more on-site visits to developments, etc. that we've got. But yeah, I will still have a YouTube channel after the lockdown, but I don't think I'll be doing as many sort of videos of this style. But listen guys, if you like this style of video, I can continue it. And I just might not do as many after the lockdown. Just let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Very sweet. Shaf, another great, honest, genuine video. As I don't have your email address, I thought I would post this on here. I had a guy add me on Instagram without permission, and he's been constantly sending me messages to sign up to his land course. Very sweet. There's a lot of these guys. You're not going to believe this. Even I get them occasionally. I've got a very, very funny one, okay, where somebody contacted me on LinkedIn. I might actually just cut and paste all the comments in the conversation. and just let you guys see it. It's just absolutely stunning. I'm actually going to tell you what happened. This is quite a funny story. As I've mentioned to you guys before, I'm a columnist for a newspaper, and my column appears on a Monday, and my column was about property get-rich schemes. And on Saturday night, somebody sent me a message trying to sell me a land deal. I was a bit bored, I had nothing to do, I wasn't going out, there was nothing good on the telly, and I thought, I'm just going to engage with this guy and see how he basically tries to extract money out of me. And it's quite a funny conversation. So what I will do is I'll create a video out of that and I'll stick it up on my YouTube channel. Adi Subramani, why did you get into doing YouTube videos? Well, Adi, I'm a columnist for a newspaper, and one of the things I do, I answer business problems that people have got. So for the last 10 years, people have emailing me with their business problems. Here's a selection of them coming up on your screen now. And people just sort of know now that if you've got a business problem, ask Shaf and he'll give you his opinion on it. So literally, loads and loads and loads of people basically email me, they ask me questions, and it's generally all the same questions. It's like, Shaf, how do we do a business plan? Shaf, how do we brand our business? And I used to basically respond back to these emails, and it got to the stage where I couldn't because I was getting so many of them. So I had a bit of a brainwave. I thought what I should do is I should do a little explainer video and just stick it on YouTube. So that's what I did. That's how the channel started. So basically, people would email me, or in my role as the resident entrepreneur, some of my students would ask me questions, and I would basically just say to them, listen, just watch this video, and that's it. And it sort of grew from there. Then, during the lockdown, I decided that I was going to try and help a little bit. People were facing problems, and I thought one way of doing that was answer people's questions, deal with their problems, give them my opinion, give them advice. So that's why basically I'm doing the YouTube channel. Next question is from Treble A. When is the best time to contact estate agents for property inquiries and viewings? What are the viewing techniques that could help you reduce the cost of a property? Treble A, I've mentioned this in a previous video. I'm going to leave a link for it with the exact time. But in my opinion, you should always use an agent to go and source property for you. Because my view is, why would you not use an expert who does this for a living and pay them £1,000 to get you a good deal on a property? I've done it time and time again. Agents have brought deals to me and said to me, Shaf, buy this basically for £1.1 million, do X, Y and Z to it, and sell it for £1.5 million. Now, I mentioned in my last video about a deal I did in Sight Hill in Edinburgh. I've done this on residential property as well, and I'll do a few videos explaining this, but all of the good deals I have done recently have been deals where agents have actually brought me the deal, and you don't pay them a lot of money, but you end up getting a phenomenal deal. So there you go, Super Chad. Please do some more videos about buy-to-let. Not a lot of YouTubers are honest or are knowledgeable about this. Super Chad, I'm going to do that. I've got it on my to-do list. Now, coming up very, very soon, there's a couple of videos that are coming out that are property related. One of them is lease option agreements. I'm just finalising that video now, but I will definitely do some buy-to-let videos, no doubt about it. Delighted to do that. Greg Williams, could you do a video on company structure for property? I'd like to know how you structure your business as well as inheritance tax planning. Guys, do you know one of the things I do have, right, is I know a lot of experts, okay? I deal with a lot of experts. And one of the things I was thinking about doing in future is I'm going to get some of these experts on this channel and you can ask them your own questions. I've got a pal and his name's Taka, and Taka is a wealth advisor. I used to meet up with him once a week, and we used to shoot videos while we were in the restaurant, and we'd just have business debates and all this sort of stuff. In fact, there's a really funny video where we become food reviewers. I'm going to leave a link for it below. It's really, really funny, right? Because Taka's having sheep's trotter curry. But anyway, get back to the story. Basically, Taka and I would go out for dinner once a week, and while we're there, we would have debates about business, etc. And we would literally film some of this stuff, and I would stick it on my LinkedIn, and we used to get loads and loads and loads of views on this. So what I'll do is, Taka is an expert on inheritance tax planning. I'll get him in here, and you guys can ask him any questions you want, and we'll put him on the spot, and we'll get him to answer them for you. And I plan to do this with a lot of other experts. So if there's any areas you guys basically would like to learn about, just stick it in the comments. Just say, Shaf, can you get an expert on this? Or Shaf, can you get an expert on that? And I'll get them in, because they're not going to say no to me. It's not a problem. And I'll get them in. And you guys can ask them whatever questions you want, and they will answer them for you, okay? Irfan Khan. It's quite a long message, guys. It's on your screen, but the gist of it is basically, Irfan would like me to introduce him to some contacts. I'm basically happy to do that, but what I can't do is start doing it on a bespoke basis. If you basically post in the comments below, literally, what you've said in your... Oh look, my phone started ringing. Excuse me for a second, guys, okay? I'll be back in a second. Sorry, getting back to Irfan's question. Now, Irfan, what I would say to you, mate, is you need to hire somebody to do business development for you. Even if you take on somebody part-time, because the way you're doing it, it's not the right way. I'm happy to stick the links in below, and if you put a little bit about your business. You need to create your own profile on LinkedIn. You need to connect to the sort of people that you're likely to do business with. You need to then build a relationship with them, and then you need to start telling them about your business. So that's the way I would do it. And finally, you've said to me, you're a businessman, you don't mind paying me. Mate, I'm not doing this for the money, so you don't need to pay me. I'm quite happy if you stick a little bit about your business below. I'll refer a couple of people to it. Okay, thank you. Burning Desire. Hi, Shaf. Do you have any advice and tips on how to make money on eBay or Amazon? Burning Desire, I've had quite a few e-commerce businesses. I've invested in quite a few e-commerce businesses. And do you know what we do? We hire consultants to help us out. And what I will do is I will get one of these consultants on this channel and they can basically give us advice. I'll tell you the other thing which I think is quite a good idea. A lot of people buy e-commerce and bankrupt stock from companies like John Pye. I'll have a chat with the managing director of John Pye's and I'll ask him if he wants to basically do an interview. So you guys, if you have any questions, e-commerce questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll have an expert alongside me to answer them and we'll answer them for you. So just stick them below. They might not get answered for a few weeks, but I will definitely answer them and we'll get some proper experts in to help us out here. Thank you. Gary Powell. What's your opinion on co-working space after the virus issue is over and will there be a greater or less demand? I have an option on commercial property which I was about to pull the trigger on until this all kicked off. Mate, that's quite a difficult question to answer, isn't it? But from speaking to people, my view is the way we all interact is going to change. I've been thinking about this a lot myself. I'm certainly not going to have as many meetings as I used to. Before, I used to have 10 meetings a day sometimes, and I'm going to try and be super safe because what happens if the pandemic basically, there's a second wave? So I think, personally, people will just be a bit more careful. They won't want to work in big open plan offices, etc. As regards your question of should I pull the trigger? Well, we had a couple of deals up for sale. I'm going to do a video on one of them. When you watch this, it'll be live the week after, about a couple of properties we had up for sale and we were supposed to get paid 2 or 3 days after the lockdown, and all those deals have been pulled. In one of the instances, the buyer came back and said, we want 100 grand discount. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm just not interested at that sort of level. And properties that we're buying, what we have said to the vendor is we will make a decision once the pandemic is over. Okay, and properties we're selling, all of the people have said either exactly the same thing or they've tried to renegotiate the price. Now, could you renegotiate the price? What's the worst that's going to happen? If you're paying £100,000 for the commercial property, I've just plucked that figure out of the air, by the way. If you're paying £100,000 for this commercial property and you offer 80, what's the worst that can happen? The person isn't going to say, no, I'm not going to sell it to you. Okay, even for 100, they'll just say they'll either accept your £80,000 or they'll come back with a counter offer. But what they won't do is basically say, we're not going to accept your 100,000. So I don't think you've got anything to lose. I would just go in and try it. Chance your arm. See what happens. Mike Conroy, you quoted a friend having a successful residential portfolio that is not able to get into commercial property. Have I understood this correctly? If so, what would you recommend? Mike, my friend couldn't get into commercial property because he didn't have a clue about it. He sat down with a lender and he started talking about commercial property and he had basically no idea at all. So the lender said to him, look, we're happy to lend you more money, but we'd rather you basically did residential property. So I think the secret here is if you want to get involved in commercial property, educate yourself, learn a lot more about commercial property, network with the players in commercial property, the players being agents, commercial property solicitors, surveyors, etc. So what you have to do is build up your knowledge and don't be like my friend who didn't have a clue and try to borrow a load of money because he went, Shaf does it quite well and I'm going to have a go as well. And the first commercial property deal you do, make sure it's a small one because it's a bit like driving, isn't it? The first car you buy after passing your driving test is going to be a Fiesta. And then from there you move up to something better and then you move up to something better and it's the same principle. So that's the way I would do it. Draza Milovic, listen, if I've pronounced your name wrong, right, please do accept my apology. Has the coronavirus affected your property portfolio? Yes, it has affected the property portfolio. In terms of income, our income is down. Now, I've touched on that previously. I'll just leave an exact link to my previous video so you can see exactly. In terms of values, I feel the values will come down, but there is no evidence yet to suggest how much the values will come down by. So at the moment, it's all up in the air at the moment. That's why I am not doing anything in terms of property. I've spoken to a lot of property entrepreneurs. I know a lot of property entrepreneurs, and literally in fact, all of the property entrepreneurs are not doing anything at the moment. They just want to leave it. They want to see where the bottom of the market is and then decide what they're going to do. So yes, it has affected it in a nutshell. Danny Murphy, Shaf, have you ever had a property deal not turn out so well? If so, what did you learn from it? Danny, I've had a load of property deals that didn't turn out well, and they were all towards the last recession. Now, basically, what I learned from this is always look at what is the worst downside risk. There's certain areas, okay, that I'm not very good at, okay, and I make no bones about it. And I try and avoid those areas. We lost a lot of money in a townhouse we bought in Edinburgh, and I ended up selling it for less than basically what I paid for it. I lost a couple of £100,000 on that deal from recollection, and that was about, 10? No, it wasn't. It was 12 years ago, and that was just as the last recession kicked in. And basically, it was a listed building. There was all sorts of problems with it, and literally, I lost money on that. I sold it for a lot less than what I'd bought for it. For example, I bought a townhouse in Queen Street in Edinburgh. Okay, so this townhouse was previously an office, and we basically let it as an office. And I've now just done a deal to sell it. I bought it for £750,000 from recollection. I'll just chuck a picture of it up on the screen. And I sold it to a friend of mine who's a property developer. And basically, he's going to develop it into apartments. Now, I could have done this myself, but it's a listed building. Can I be bothered with the hassle? So I sold it to him. I've made a couple of £100,000 on it. And over and above that, I've had a really good rental income out of it. You know, there's certain things where I say, I'm not very good at this, or nah, I just don't fancy doing this at all. I'll take the quick profit, which is, yeah, rent it out for a period of time, get the income, and then just sell it out. So that's the lessons I've learned. Concentrate on the things you're good at. Okay, if there's something you're good at, just do it. Okay, just pile in there. Chris Hobkirk, I want to save up money to purchase my first house, but I want to buy a rundown house and renovate it and sell it on. What kind of a mortgage or loan do you think I should get as a first-time buyer? Well, Chris, if you're basically moving in, I would just get a normal mortgage. A normal mortgage, you know, there's good mortgages out there. You can get them for 2-3%, and that's per year. A bridging facility will cost you 0.75% per month, so I've got no idea why you would get a bridging facility. Bearing in mind, you're going to be moving in there, so it's going to be a primary home. There'll be no tax to pay. Let's say you buy this property with a normal mortgage. Basically, you renovate it, you move in there, it becomes your primary residence for a period of time, and you sell it. Whatever profit you make, whether it's £50,000, £100,000, £200,000, it's yours and it's tax-free. So just go for a normal mortgage if you can. Matt Pike, when in your 20s, how much did you have to sacrifice in order to get to where you wanted to? Is it okay to have a day off here and there and the weekend off? Matt, this is all about work-life balance. Now, when I left university, I started my first business. And I started my business, it was super successful. Then basically I bought and sold a number of businesses. And then I'm in my late 20s, I'm a multi-millionaire, and I'm totally, utterly and completely burnt out. Okay, that's it. I'm totally burnt out. And I wanted to sort out my tax affairs, and I was maybe going to go back to university. So I met up with a firm called Ernst & Young. Okay, so I made a lot of mistakes when I first started in business. I used to work every conceivable hour that existed. I never used to hire people that were cleverer than me, which was a bad mistake, clearly, because there's millions of them. So I made so many mistakes. And being an entrepreneur, it's difficult as it is. There's so many highs, there's so many lows. You've got nobody to basically ask for advice. You almost feel as if you're there by yourself. I wish when I was in my 20s, I had a better work-life balance. If I had, I wouldn't have basically literally had to take a year out or 18 months or whatever the period of time was where I literally did nothing. So I think it's really, really important that you have a sensible work-life balance, Matt. That's my advice to you. Adam Nibala, what advice do you have for somebody interested in selling a business and also buying one? And can you discuss equities? Thanks. Adam, this is such a general question you've asked me. I could literally sit here and talk for about 5 hours on this subject. But what I will do is I'll talk about the first things that come to mind. And if you've got more specific questions, please just post them in the comments and I'll answer them. And more importantly, if anybody wants a detailed video about buying and selling a business or adding value to a business or anything like that, I'm happy to do that. I'll add it onto my to-do list. But one of the first lessons that I've learned from my experiences is you can either buy a company, okay, so you buy the shares in the company, or you can buy the assets. If you buy the shares in the company, you're taking on all of the liabilities that exist with the company, and there may be liabilities that you don't know about. You're taking on all the skeletons in the cupboard. I've always preferred doing asset purchase agreements. I remember we bought a company and it was just a drama. There was so much stuff coming out of the woodwork. There was basically so many creditors that we didn't know about, even though we'd spent a lot of time doing due diligence. From that point onward, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to try and do an APA, which is an asset purchase agreement. So you're actually buying the assets of the company. So the company exists still, but you're buying from it. You're buying the business. If it has a building, you're buying the building. You're buying the stock. The staff are all getting transferred into your new company that you've just set up to do this. I find that's a much, much cleaner way of doing it. The second thing, which I've come to realise, is you can't have, when it comes to buying a business, you can't have too many warranties and indemnities in the contract. Now, if you don't know what a warranty is a guarantee about the quality. So let's say we're buying a business that manufactures widgets. As part of the sale, you're buying the building. So what you can do is you can get a warranty about various things within that business. So you could get a warranty about building, about the roof, a warranty about the equipment. So a warranty is essentially a guarantee about quality. The other thing I touched on was indemnities. An indemnity is a protection against loss. So make sure you've got as many warranties and indemnities in the contract as possible. That's my advice to you. You can never have too many. The other thing is we were basically buying a business and the business leased premises. Okay, so as part of the deal, we needed to take over the lease in the premises. And do you know what happened? We were halfway through our negotiations, due diligence, and the landlord turned around and he said, no, we're not going to basically transfer the lease. So there was no chance of subletting or assignation because the company we were going to create was a new co. So that deal literally fell apart because the landlord was just not willing to do it. And we were not willing to offer the sort of guarantees that the landlord wanted. So make sure at an early stage that if it's a lease building, the landlord's going to agree to that. Another issue that I've come across when we're buying businesses is we sit down, we negotiate a deal, and the vendor's the seller, by the way, the vendor goes and says to somebody else, do you know Shaf Rasul's going to buy my company for, I'll just pluck a figure out of the air, £1 million. Would you offer me more? So they're using the fact that we're interested in buying their business as leverage to try and get a higher price off somebody else. So what you want to do is you want to basically have a period of exclusivity. Okay, so you want to have a period of exclusivity where the vendor cannot talk to anybody else. Now, there's dozens of other things I could go through here with you, but this episode will just end up being about buying and selling businesses. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's the sort of main points I've just thrown at you. If you've got any specific questions, please stick them in the comments below and I'll deal with them for you, okay? Thank you. DFT. Okay, DFT wants to know about Bitcoin, blockchain, and here's an important one. What investment plans do you have up your sleeve following the latest pandemic, COVID, etc.? Well, DFT, I hate to admit this to you, but I am not an expert on Bitcoin. I'm not an expert on blockchain. There are people out there that are infinitely cleverer than me. If you really want to know about it, I could grab a hold of somebody and basically bring them onto this channel and we could do an Ask Shaf with them. As regards what investment plans do I have post-pandemic, I'm going to be sharing them with you guys anyway. At the moment, I'm just sitting back, I'm evaluating, I'm looking at data, but I'm not making any decisions. But rest assured, I will let you guys know what I'm up to, so don't worry about that. But as I said, if you want me to get an expert on Bitcoin or blockchain, happy to do that, and I'll bring them onto a future episode. Danny Murphy, have you ever been involved with a listed building and had dealings with conservation officers and the like? Danny, I have. I think I've touched on this in previous videos. I don't particularly like dealing with listed buildings because it's just a drama. The costs spiral out of control. I have basically bought listed buildings and I've ended up just renting them out. And then if I get a buyer for a higher price than what I've paid for them, I will basically sell it on. Actually, I've done that recently with a property in Queen Street in Edinburgh. It's a friend of mine that's agreed to buy the building off me. What I will do is I'll get him in here. In fact, better than that, I'll get him on here. Okay, and he'll answer questions for you, and we can pop in from time to time. I'll shoot some footage and let you guys see how it's getting on, okay? Thank you. Finley Highs, when is the next Ask Shaf Live? Ask Shaf Live is going to be every Thursday. I'm also going to do a once in a blue moon, I'm going to do an Ask Shaf special. There's one coming up pretty soon. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you've hit that notification bell so you get notified as soon as basically the episode goes live. But I've got a really, really good Ask Shaf Live where I'm going to look at a real deal we did recently. And we're going to follow the deal from inception, from how I bought the building, what work we did to the building, basically how we got tenants for the building, how we put it up for sale, how we almost sold it and how COVID-19 resulted in the deal collapsing, then what we did to add even more value to the building. I think that's going to be a really good episode. And a lot of the stuff I've discussed in Ask Shaf Live, you'll see it basically put into action in real life. Please do remember, notification bell and subscribe. Cheers. Thank you. Matthew Murray, what are your thoughts on using bridging loans to purchase property when you don't have available cash? Secure the bridge on property you're buying and additional property, so the bridge is 100% LTV. At this present moment in time, I just think that's nuts because I suspect the market is going to go down. We just don't know how much by, okay, and when it's going to stop going down. So if you get a bridging facility, the first thing you have to remember is you will have to give a personal guarantee. Even if you buy this building into a limited company and the company closes down, you will still be personally liable for the debt, okay? Any amount of unpaid debt, you will be personally liable for it. Second thing is, I'm assuming you're going to give your own home, okay, as a guarantee. I just wouldn't do that. At this present time, in the current climate, I just would not do it. So I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I will review my opinion once the market settles down, but at this present time, bad idea, mate. What I would do is basically, I would keep your powder dry and let's just see what happens. Jerry Carolla, I remember you once mentioned to me that you can retain a consistent trusted agent on an agreed percentage fee for a second opinion regarding a property purchase. That may come from a different surveyor. Please can you explain? So basically guys, what we do is we have a firm of chartered surveyors who are our retained agents. They're our trusted advisors, okay? So we pay them a retainer for advising us. So anytime I need a second opinion, I need advice, anything like that, I pick up the phone to them. Simple as that. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. It can be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll just pick up the phone to the partner and say, excuse me, what do you think of this? So how it works is, let's say John Smith offers me a property deal. I look at the deal, I do my own due diligence on it. And I say, yeah, this building's worth £100,000. Okay, you notice I'm always using £100,000 because it's dead easy to work with than like £1,365,000. So it's worth £100,000. So then I go to myself, right, I'm buying this for £100,000. I can chop the building up. I can make it into small units. I can let them out and then the building will be worth £200,000. Now, what I want to do is I want to get somebody to sense check my figures because I can be quite optimistic sometimes. So what I do is I speak to our retained agents. So they will then give me an opinion and I'll say to them, guys, what do you think of this? Is this worth £100,000? And they'll say, yes, it is. Or they'll say, Shaf, no, it's not. And it's not worth £100,000 because of the following reasons. And they will also point out downside risks that I may not have seen. Okay. Then they will actually value that building for me. They will survey that building and they will give me a comprehensive report which allows me to make an informed decision. Now, I have to pay 2 sets of fees to that. I have to pay a fee to the person that introduced the deal to me. So if I bought the building for £100,000, I would pay him £1,000. Then I have to pay a fee to our retained agents. Okay. But it's really, really worth it because often I will look at a deal and I will say, right, I'm going to buy this for £100,000. I'm going to chop the building up. And our agent might say, Shaf, do you know, if you did X, Y, and Z instead, it would save you this much money. And I think it would increase your investment value by Y amount. So that's why I always have retained agents who advise me. So that's quite a good strategy. Richard H. Why do you invest in property instead of the stock market? Do you prefer doing the deals yourself instead of researching and speculating on the future success of other businesses? Richard, I've explained in a previous video why I prefer property. I'm going to leave a link in the comments below, okay, with the exact time in a previous Ask Shaf. So you can just jump straight to that bit and you can see my answer there. And notwithstanding this, I do invest in the stock market. I also invest in a platform called Lending Crowd. How Lending Crowd works is basically businesses go onto the platform and they borrow money and they offer a return. So you've got to do due diligence on all of these businesses. I really enjoy that. In fact, to teach my son about business, I got him to open a Lending Crowd account and got him to do due diligence. If you guys think that's a good idea and you want to learn more about how Lending Crowd works, how I do due diligence on Lending Crowd, just leave some comments below and I'll show you. I'll just basically do it on my PC or we can do it together. So there you have it. Richard H again. If you had to pick a 9-to-5 job as an employee instead of being an entrepreneur, what would be your fancy? Richard, you know what? I quite enjoy dealing with problems. So I enjoy dealing with the problems that the readers of my business column in the newspaper have. I quite enjoy dealing with the issues that the startups have in my role as a resident entrepreneur at the University of Strathclyde. I actually enjoy doing what I'm doing right now because I'm answering questions, okay? So I think if I had to get a job, I think I'd be quite a good lecturer. What do you guys think? Do you think I'd be a good teacher? Let me know in the comments below, okay? Thank you. Abdul C. Abdul's basically talking about rent to rent and he's saying, what are your thoughts? Is there a better way to get started in property? Abdul, I've already done a video on rent to rent. It's just going to come up on your screen now. Rent to rent, yeah, in theory it's possible to make money. You're just a glorified property manager. That's the end of story. Is there easier ways in getting started in property? It depends at what stage you are in your life. On previous episodes of Ask Shaf Live, I've had people, young people asking me, how do I get started in property? And I'm saying, well, the easiest, most risk-free way of doing it is basically buy your own home, add value to it, sell it, retain the cash tax-free and basically move on to the next one. And do 2 or 3 of these, build up your experience and then start buying a buy-to-let portfolio. I'm also going to do a video on BRR. That's one of the only strategies I think that these property gurus out there teach that's got sort of arms and legs. So I'm going to do a video on BRR at some point in the future. So literally, Abdul, what I will say to you is rent to rent, bad idea. Just leave it, mate. Okay. So guys, that's the end of Ask Shaf Live for this week. As you'll see from the last video, the one from this week prior, I've got lots of amazing questions to answer. So I'll be doing them in next week's episode, but for the week after, I need loads of questions. So could you please stick questions down below? I've asked a lot of questions in this about bringing on guests, okay? Industry experts that I have relationships with. If you would like that, please let me know and I can basically bring them on here and you guys can ask them questions and I'll give you a couple of weeks notice so you can think of questions to ask them. Anyway, guys, listen, thank you very much. Please do me a big favour. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, leave me a comment, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Stay safe, guys, okay? And I'll catch you next week. Thank you.